Creating clean energy solutions demands that we ask ourselves tough questions. Each year, energy innovators from the public and private sectors come together in Las Vegas at the National Clean Energy Summit to try and answer these questions. There's a lot at stake for the country.
The National Clean Energy Summit has been bringing high-level government and business leaders together in Las Vegas for 5 years. This year, former President Bill Clinton is the keynote speaker at the summit, focusing on building a clean energy economy.
There should be no one in this room who doubts the importance of reducing our reliance on fossil fuels, not only because it's good for the environment, but because it's good for the economy and good for national security. The Midwest experiences the most crushing drought in more than half a century, or maybe ever. Train tracks are bending, derailing subways. Highways are cracking, buckling, and breaking open. This spring, rain fell unexpectedly in Mecca, despite 109-degree temperatures. It was the hottest downpour in the planet's recorded history. In the words of one respected climate scientist, quote, "This is what global warming looks like."
As a biologist, we've been concerned about global warming and the impacts of injection of more carbon and greenhouse gases into the atmosphere for years. And despite the doubters, I think the evidence now is so overwhelming and irrefutable that we are in the midst of an environmental calamity of the greatest proportions in human history.
The problems we face require immediate action. Clean energy innovators and government are working together to find solutions. So far, a great deal has been accomplished.
The President has directed his cabinet to do everything that we can as an administration, and we've instituted policies to move forward with an all-of-the-above energy strategy. We are only importing 46% of our oil from foreign countries. We have changed the tide of history. We're going to capture the power of the sun and the power of the wind and the power of geothermal. Well, 3.5 years later, I'm happy to report here at this Clean Energy Summit that we have permitted 31 commercial-scale renewable energy projects across the United States of America.
Beginning in 2009, U.S. clean energy investments increased dramatically. Electricity generated by renewable sources will double between 2008 and 2012. Investments in clean energy technology and energy efficiency created just in the past 4 years an estimated 1 million jobs. It's one of the only really powerful sectors in our economy over the last couple of years.
Because we've grown the wind industry here, we've created one of the fastest new growing manufacturing sectors. There's over 500 new manufacturing plants in the last 5 years, creating over 75,000 jobs. 30,000 of those are just in manufacturing that are really long-term, high-tech, high-wage jobs.
Renewable energy on our installations is diversifying our energy supply. Last year, over 6% of Air Force electricity was derived from renewable sources of energy, surpassing federal goals.
We're right now working on helping organized wholesale electric markets, allow consumers to participate in those markets, allow consumers to actually vary their loads, do things like plug in electric cars and utilize their appliances in ways that it can actually reduce their energy costs, and in some cases even pay money back to them.
We're promoting clean energy and trying to create a domestic supply chain. We need a domestic supply chain if we're going to have wind, if we're going to have solar, if we're going to have geothermal. We need to make those things and make them in America.
The message is clear. Clean energy is good for our environment and our economy, but there is a lot more work ahead.
Policy around our energy future has consisted, for the most part, of decades of complacency punctuated by moments of panic and then just as quickly as we can get back to complacency. And a clean energy future is all about getting in front of that and changing our choices.
It's critical for America to be reliable and independent on its own feet, not for the next year, 2 years, but for the next century, to have a sustainable energy future that is in our own hands.
Unless we solve the sustainable energy problem this century, we will face massive economic collapse, not to mention substantial environmental damage that's going to affect hundreds of millions, if not billions of people in a terrible way.
The path to a clean energy future has been charted. But if the United States is going to achieve energy independence, we must think on a global scale.
Former President Bill Clinton also part of today's push for clean energy. He took the podium around 4:30 this afternoon to address that summit. He said that while America is taking steps to go green, we are lagging behind European nations.
The important thing is we need a bias for action, a bias for cooperation, and a bias for thinking big, even if we have to act small, because it's the power of example that changes consciousness.
The United States is moving forward with its plan to build out the renewable energy grid. The vitality of our economy, our environment, and our security depend on it.
We've already seen how incentives, funding, and public-private partnerships have spurred job creation and innovation in this most critical sector. This has been a ray of sunshine during the Great Recession. So it's easy to see the logic, the urgency, and the opportunity of a clean energy revolution, and it is a revolution. That's why President Obama has fought hard to advance the policies that will reduce our reliance on oil and fossil fuels, increase our production of clean energy, and create good-paying jobs, jobs that can never be outsourced.